8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alive na siya?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching us from around the world. My name is Dorleen de Maunahan, and I will be your host today. Welcome to the last day of our campaign, which is actually the most special and most memorable of all. Together with renowned speakers from various parts of the world, such as the Philippines, Malaysia, and the United States of America, we are proud to bring you this interactive forum with advocates and experts and conclude this 18-day campaign with the theme of self-love and women empowerment and with a positive light for 2021. Violence against women is a grave violation of women's rights and fundamental freedoms. It manifests deep-seated discrimination and gender inequality and continues to be one of the country's perennial social problems. By virtue of Republic Act 10398 declaring November 25 of every year as a National Conscious Day for the Elimination of VOWC, we are one of those who aim to raise awareness on the problem of violence and the elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls. Up to this date, VOW is one of the country's most pervasive social problems. Various measures and mechanisms have already been employed to address it. Since November 25 to December 11, we at the ASEAN Youth Organization showcased various videos of those in support of this amazing advocacy. To give you a glimpse of this, please watch this highlight video.
One in 5 children in the Philippines actually experience sexual violence from the age of 12 to 17 years old, and whoever you are, whatever abilities you have, you can do something.
Nasa likod ninyo ako at ang buong team namin sa OVP, along with so many others committed to the pursuit of a fairer, more humane, truly equitable society. Maraming salamat, mabuhay kayong lahat.
Good things happen when a stand is taken. I know this because I grew up in a home where violence was prevalent. But what made life better was to remove fear and to take a stand.
As there is violence against women, there is no peace. So thank you for speaking up. Thank you for choosing not to remain silent. I'm always proud of you, young people, and I'm always here rooting for all of you.
That was a wonderful video indeed, and we hope you enjoyed it. Please take note that even after this live forum, we will be playing or replaying the videos once again for everyone to enjoy. So thank you very much. I know that everyone is excited, but before we begin, I'd like to call on a fellow IO member, Ms. Colin Lalabin, to share with you a little bit more about the ASEAN Youth Organization. Ms. Colin is a strong and constant women's rights advocate. She's the head of the ASEAN Youth Organization Online Academy and an HIV counselor at Love Yourself, Inc., an organization that has risen to become one of the leading organizations in HIV awareness, testing, and treatment in the Philippines. Take it away, Colin. Hi, Colin. I think you're on mute. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Ms. Colin is currently on mute, so may we please request Ms. Colin to unmute. There you go. All right. So perhaps we can get back to Ms. Colin, and in the meantime, We would, of course, like to thank everyone again for watching and sharing this cause. It has indeed been a long 18-day campaign against this Tausi. And of course, we here at the ASEAN Youth Organization want to express that even the youth recognize this perennial problem that's happening. So while Ms. Cullen is unable to proceed, I would like to call on our first speaker. So to introduce you to our first speaker, she's the president and founder of the Association of Women's Rights Advocates. She was honored with the Phenomenal Woman Lifetime Achievement Award during the 40th Asia Pacific Awards. She is Miss Denise Cornejo. But to further introduce her and her wonderful cause, here's a short clip that she has prepared for us.
Denise Cornejo was born in Manila, Philippines. She is a consistent honor student that started at a very young age. As a young entrepreneur, she got involved in training in multiple countries at a very early age of 16 years old. At the age of 18, she became a speaker to various known universities such as UP Diliman, De La Salle University, and in Arellano University. Perfectionist as an entrepreneur, her dedication is incomparable. Denise Cornejo has been a part of the Dangal ng Bayan Awardee National Peace, Unity, and Reconciliation Forum. She also partakes in the Asian Achiever Awardee for her Outstanding Young Lady Entrepreneur Award. She helped 1,500 indigent public school children that are malnourished with the partnership of the Department of Education because she supports the Filipino youth in all walks of life. A women's rights advocate, prioritizes health, education, and helps promote good labor to all Filipino people. Denise Cornejo shows an outstanding bravery when she went as the first woman to assist our female troops in Marawi for their fearsome battle for our country's freedom. Encourages people to embrace arts and cultures of the Philippines. A first Dan black belter as an ambassador of the Philippine Taekwondo Federation. As she once said, leadership is not all about creating more followers, but creating more leaders. It is defined by results and not attributes. A woman of empowerment, courage, and determination. A young leader, an open-minded and industrious person who helps young entrepreneurs to further grow their skills to achieve their goals. Denise Milinette Cornejo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Check my speech. I'd like to take this opportunity to every part of this ASEAN, all the members and also the parts of different country nations who's been watching us live at the moment. My topic this afternoon is all about the obstacles of feminism facing a contemporary world. Is there such thing as a hate speech in feminism? In fashion, we represent a certain strong spirit that we want the world to see. An environment, which I'm part with, we embrace a critical role in managing natural resources in family and community levels and are most affected by environment degradation. In technology, women are compared to a computer because we can do all multitasking than men. In anti-feminism, featured Feminism by Gotri, Belinda Brown, an independent researcher and faculty member, began her recent article, An Arbitrary to Feminism, by arguing that it's a high time that feminism was recognized as a hate movement, that its ideology was felt as an embarrassment, and being a feminist was seen as a badge of shame. Question: is this a fair assessment of feminism? The word feminism has been overused and been labeled as different kinds of meaning. And the part of my journey in the research, the question is, let us examine the statement by prominent feminists to gauge their sentiments, and as a trial exercise, let us substitute the referent, in most cases men, with other referent categories to see how we feel about the altered statement. Leaving you three statements that usually we hear in the present feminism and the generation, especially this contemporary world. On this issue of toxic masculinity, Susanna Danuta Walters says that we live in the land of legislatively legitimated toxic masculinity. According to the site Geek Feminism, the toxic masculinity refers to the social constructed attitude that describes the masculinity gender role as violent, unemotional, sexually aggressive, and so forth. Do all men exhibit toxic masculinity? That's the question. Susanna Danuta Walter does not accept any men. But personally, I'm not saying every man. We still have a lot of respectful men in this generation, but mostly we're dealing with this toxic masculinity that we have to deal and express our sentiments. Like many other countries, many Indians, also here in the Philippines, including some women, don't really understand what feminism means. Something it's about hating or punishing men. People also tend to believe that feminism is about to making women dominant gender, which all are incorrect. And of course, I've encountered some different women, and they have this different kinds of feminism definition by themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN guest of honors, viewers, esteemed guests, I present you an introduction of obstacles of feminism facing on contemporary world. This thesis has been a dream with the goal of defending and protecting women's rights. An interest since the researcher, myself, in starting a women's right advocate way back in college, having been dedicated advocate for 7 years now. I started as a youth leader and jumped and been passionate in women's rights. The researcher myself believed that there's still something lacking as yet challenged my inner intellect and point of views. I've experienced different speakers and also been invited to speak, but of course I've heard the same point of views, and up to now we're discussing about problems and not there's no solution yet or concrete solution on the specific obstacle. Feminism can be attributed to the nuances and meanings and definitions, what I've said. One finds attached to the concept of feminism are several approaches to defining the very nature of this idea. For individuals or groups to project themselves as feminist, there's some feminists are really aggressive. There's some feminists that they silently protect other fellow women, but it doesn't really limit the support or the definition of feminism. They consider the reduction of gender inequality and promotion of women's rights and interests as equivalent to feminism. One of the writer, Walby 2011, there are also those that regard feminism as advocacy of women there are also those that regard feminism as advocacy of women's rights and basis of the equality of the sexes. To start with, to give you my very own experience talking to a 7-year-old. It was a windy afternoon when I asked a 7-year-old and what he wants out of life. What does he want to become in the future? And one of the main answer that he gave to me is to be a doctor. He told me he wants to heal the world and he wants to heal his mother. His answer is accompanied with a faint, blurred smile. Faint, blurred smile. I couldn't explain this particular feeling. If he only knew that he was able to talk to his mother, he could have saved her from depression. Depression. It was this very conversation which reminded me that I am still fully alive and breathing because I could feel the pain in my forearms when I heard it. First the first statement that I highlighted is depression. Nearly 800,000 people die by suicide in the world each year, which is equivalent to one death every 40 seconds. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in the world for those aged 15 to 24 years. In 2012, there were 2,550 recorded suicides. Undersecretary Hermigligdo Valley of Department of Health was quoted as saying in one of the daily newspapers in the country, if those figures alone are frightening, the statistic worldwide even more daunting. Every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide, according to Geneva-based World Health Organization, WHO. This high incidence of suicide is the most commonly attributed to depression, which mostly experienced both by men and women who may be facing troubles at home or having rather difficult time adjusting the modern judgment of the society. Especially during this pandemic, there are a lot of suicide reports that connected because of mental health and of course of depression. Are we going to wait for more not to be heard to take their lives? Or we do listen to them and resolve the obstacles? One of the prevailing issues that is constantly challenging by those obstacles in feminism, it can be attributed to, as I mentioned again, is different kinds of meanings and definition. One find attached to concept feminism approach an very nature idea. According to Adichie is one of the most influential speaker of women's rights and gender equality, which I also included in my thesis, is a theory of political. It all forms and for the purpose of the study is regarded as a theory of political, economic, and social equality of all sexes. Walby 2011, also a researcher, explained that there have been several attempts to declare the feminism long gone, that the idea has since dealt with inevitable death, that we're now dealing in so-called aftermath of feminism, that we are now thriving in an age where feminism is barely surviving in a hostile environment it has found itself in. One prominent struggle appears in the form of aggressions and violence caused by prism of patriarchy that hounds are present. Future noted that the women's movement in the Philippines, which is my country, which has showcased continuous growth and has gained momentum. There are still some women who are still hopelessly fight for their place in the society. I'd like to take this opportunity. There are some agencies who's doing their part, reaching out to victims and also survivors, such as we have Philippine Commission Women, we also have Gabriela, we also have PNP, and other like the SWD and a lot of non-government agencies who are actively promoting and reaching out to all children and women who are victim of VAUSI. Indeed, feminism and women's movement in our country are still confronted with adversities in the face of new government, which everyone I think will be a great topic to discuss in a while, and the current changes in time. I personally believe that VAUSI movement or VAUSI principle and solution will always depend on who are those people are in leading the country, because it has a great impact when it comes to gender equality and also in promoting and supporting our women's rights. Adversity, adapted change brought upon in order to maintain and preserve women's struggle for freedom, equality, and social justice. As appalling as this supposed truth, our feminism is far from over, it's not dead. In fact, the since rose to prominence and is very much more alive today in the yesteryears. Walby 2011 went as far as explaining the several projects dedicated to eradicating gender inequality and existing and extend across and beyond the domain of domestic social settings and politics and violence. I further noted that the feminism in the fullest core now deals with the new sets of challenges of contemporary society. These obstacles exist domestically at home and even politically and social at work. The greater challenge is to figure out how modern feminists cope with these everyday trials. I believe that most of our speakers this afternoon are can consider themselves as a feminist, or they could be a silent feminist, can be also a silent supporter of gender equality, or they're totally really a strong woman who really just don't care about any issues, just focus to be um, just being a feminist. It is interesting to note that there are also alternative approaches to address these obstacles with apparent implication of notions of feminism, gender relation of wider society, Global Agenda Council on Women Empowerment 2011. They stated that it's interesting to note that there are also alternative approaches to address these obstacles, apparent implication. I repeated, for the nation of feminism, gender relation of wider society. Securing the rights of women and allowing them access to opportunity enable them to reach their fullest potential, which is crucial both of achieving gender equality and arriving at the wider range of international development goals. We understand that empowered girls and women are instrumental to the overall health, well-being, and productivity of the families, communities, and countries, which in turn creates a similar ripple of domino effect, the benefits of everyone. This research therefore aims to discuss the obstacle faced by people of groups who identify themselves as feminists in two major aspects, domestically and social politically. In my research, I come up with a core demographic, which is the domestic violence, which is we're now discussing, and we're now trying to eliminate this cause. Second is the labor, which is also the happening in violence in work, labor and economic. Also betrayal of cheating partners and, and sexism and gender equality. I myself personally, I can define vi- um, violence against women and children, or let's say the word violence is not just physically violence. It has different there are different branches of violence. There's physical, there are spiritual, financial, and emotional that people should be aware of. Some people are really violent in words and not violent in physical. Some people are financially giving you a a emotional and burden when it comes to financial violence, which is they're not totally physical as well, or not doing physically violent to you. So this kind of factors that we are going to identify, which I think that women should be uh, aware that there are different kinds of violence where they have to stand for their rights and their position, especially in this contemporary world. Me as a strong woman, which to identify, I do a lot of things, and as much as possible, I make sure that as a only daughter in the three siblings and the four siblings, which I have three brothers, and I grew up with mostly an uncle and grand uncle. I see the sense of equality, and I embrace that gender, which is a male side of them, and that maybe because I became strong like this, but it it never uh, pushed me to see the difference about women and men, because it's all started at home. Vowsy, we can eliminate Vowsy if we educate and create awareness. The reason I'm here, the reason why we're here, create awareness, to reach out to people, and also to do survey what exactly what they're experiencing. In my experience in this journey of my research, most of the mothers on who are working already have so many sentiments and regrets in life. And those students from different university, which I did my survey, did a lot of they don't really experience that much in domestic violence unless they came from a family who really has a lot of negative energy inside the house, like their father are suffering in mental health, where they, with the father bringing all the stress into the family and can bring into a lot of fights, whether it's physically, verbally, financially, that made them experience or make them feel that they're really traumatized and they don't want to get settled in the future. But mostly the number of the higher number of women who are already working and already in the and already have a responsibility in the family have experienced such like this. Why? Maybe because they don't focus first on the preventions, and they were not educated enough on what exactly they're really looking for, what kind of concept of family that they want to build, what kind of kids they want to empower, what the kind of legacy they want to have in their future. It's very important to know what exactly you want in your future, in your family, what kind of concept, what kind of values that you want to put in your family, so that if these are things will be prevented. Second, of course, looking for partners. Partners are very important, whether it's a best friend, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's a fiance or soon to be a husband. It's very important to examine their way of behavior and their upbringing, because their upbringing may, or their trauma may bring to you and will cause you a lot of verbal abuse and a lot of physical abuse that you experience. It's very important that women should be aware of this, should fuel a lot of positive energy and strong energy so that they can build a better place for other fellow women. Because if not, the regrets of these women who are mother, who are already in the on the right age or handling family, have so many regrets and sentiments. And it's very overwhelming that ASEAN Youth Organization, the word youth, is handling this kind of elimination of violence against women uh, cause, so that the youth will be aware of this kind of situation they'll be encountering. The obstacles of feminism, like by myself, I don't really see myself as a feminist, because I've mentioned before that I grew up with a family who respects gender equality at home. And but it doesn't mean that I don't encounter a lot of problems of being a feminist, especially that I'm speaking to you this afternoon. For sure, there are a lot of men who's raising their eyebrows, and also other women who have their own personal meaning uh, of women empowerment or feminism. But the main point here is you have to believe in what you trying to express to the world, especially that we are well connected when it comes to digital um, technology. We have so many ways to connect and reach out to people. And it's very important that we present ourselves as a winner. All of us here may have different kinds of stories to tell, but what important is that we know what is our principles and values that we want to uh, showcase and share to other fellow women, especially that elimination of violence against women is not easy. It's a traumatic, horrifying, and not an easy task to reach out to women, especially that this pandemic, that everyone is stay at home and no one to check up on them, especially that some husband and father are experiencing mental health. I myself, as a speaker and a researcher and also a wanted to solve this problem. I think the main problem is you only focus on women. We have also to focus on men. Empowering women is very important because we build confidence and future and also strength within themselves. But also we have the more that we focus on that, women feels that they're a victim. Women feels that there's so many problems that we have to just focus on about the present stigma like what we're experiencing right now. My solution for this, which is what I shared to you in my research, is just introductory because I have there's some uh, paper works that cannot be shared publicly um, in respect of other people that I interviewed, and it cannot be shared in public. I think that eliminating domestic violence should not only focus on women, should focus on disciplining men and teaching them how to respect women. Same as like the blame culture, the rape culture, that we always focus on blaming women and ignoring men because of the toxic masculinity. As I mentioned earlier, the toxic masculinity because they are men and they're acceptable of this kind of behavior. Me myself, coming from a strong father and uncle and grand uncle, and although my grandfather already died, and I never had any grandfather, only mostly grand uncles were really supportive to me. I think that it's very important that uh, we have to help men to raise men not as just a macho or masculinity uh, idea or concept, but a man that respects women so that there will be no women who cries for justice, who cries for inequality. And I think that we have to stand as one, especially that during this pandemic, we don't know who are crying at their house, who are um, wanted to reach out but they have limitation restrictions. The reason we're here is not just to speak out our minds and not just to make events, but also to make a difference. And that difference will give us a good solution and sustainability in the following years. I personally thank you for inviting me as a speaker and share some of my introductory of obstacles of feminism and sharing my insights about this 18-day elimination of feminism, 18-day elimination of violence against women. Once again, it's not about focusing only on women, but also focusing and disciplining men to respect women and also raise a lot of respectful men, especially at a young age, so that we can have a safer and better society that we always wanted to have. Have a good afternoon. And once again, my name is Ms. Bernero. I'm a founder and president of Association of Women's Rights Advocates. And also, uh, to give a solution of this VAUSI, we come up with a black and white face mask wherein those women who are experiencing trauma and a lot of uh, traumatic experience and horrifying stories, or not even horrifying, but also those women who have something to share. With this face mask, we can identify those women who are experiencing at home, at school, or even at work. So, once again, thank you very much for having me and have a good day.
Thank you very much for sharing your speech on the obstacles of feminism. It's very interesting to know that there are different types of violence, not merely physical, but also emotional, financial, and even spiritual. And yes, I do agree with you, Denise, that it's not just the women, it's also the men. As a fellow educator and researcher, I am certain that your research will go a long way. And yes, I have the mask with me. Thank you very much. I am truly, truly supporting your cause. Now, before we proceed to the next speaker, I'd like to call on, once again, the current head of the ASEAN Youth Organization Online Academy to share more about IO, or ASEAN Youth Organization. Again, let us call on Ms. Colin Lalabin. Take it away, Colin.
Thank you very much, Dor, for that wonderful introduction. And the ASEAN Youth Organization is proud to be a part and to host the campaign against violence against women and children. So, as the ASEAN Youth Organization, we're a 450,000 volunteer strong organization across all ASEAN countries participating. And we have people and their lives across the region. So we have been doing that for years now. And for the Philippines, we've been doing that for a couple of months and launching separate and several projects when it comes to youth empowerment, especially for our women and our young children, which is very important to prevent violence against women and children. Because I myself personally, as an advocate against violence against women and children, and as an HIV advocate as well for women, and young girls, I think it's very important that our young women and our young professionals and our children are well educated on how difficult the situation can be, and then the microaggressions that can take place within their personal lives or their professional lives even. So some of the projects of the ASEAN Youth Organization related to, spreading more information and preventing this kind of aggression. So we have the Youth Empowerment Program. So we're taking IO ambassadors and then influential individuals and young professionals from several countries and from several communities, and we train them to spread awareness across youth empowerment and women empowerment and what they can do for their communities as young as they can be. We also have economic enhancement, which is very important because, as we all know, our opportunities are not as fair as everyone else's. So we try to give opportunities for every single youth that we can find out there, and then we can help, especially our young women. So across these, we have the online academy, which hosts, a lot of webinars and trainings when it comes to entrepreneurship, personal development, self-confidence, public speaking, and basically every single skill that a young woman may need to be able to progress into a society that's still very patriarchal as much as we don't want it to be. So we also have, cross-border internships and youth business exchange. So we want to promote and encourage our young professionals and our young women to venture into business and not just to be employed in their dream jobs, but also to choose a career path that they really want and to empower themselves economically, because we think it's very important right now. And we also have, we're advocating for equal gender pay and then gender rights. Of course, we have social volunteerism to take up and then give opportunities to the youth to be part of the ASEAN Youth Organization. And we're still actively looking for volunteers for the Philippines. It would be of great help, tap as much youth and as much of the young professionals as much as we can, so that we can spread out all the information and all the learnings and all the benefits of being part of the ASEAN Youth Organization. We have our youth conference and our youth exchange, which focuses on thought leaders and then connecting cultural exchanges between countries in the ASEAN. And it's very important as well for our IO interest groups, because we have a mental health program, and we have other programs which are directly inclined with our gender opportunities and our gender equality promotions. So these are the things that are important when it comes to ASEAN Youth Organization, because of course it's our objective to minimize or if totally eliminate violence against women and children, because we think it's also important for our young women and our young professionals who experience these things to have their mental health checks, to have regular self-reflections and personal development trainings, to ensure that when they go back into society, they are confident enough and they feel better about themselves, and they do not put whatever traumatic experiences that they had in their own minds. So we think that's very important. That's why we try to launch these projects. We also have several projects ongoing. So aside from our webinars and trainings that are directly connected with gender empowerment, especially for our young women and our young professionals, we also have Women with Words. So it's been a long-term project by the ASEAN Youth Organization. So it specializes on, making sure that these survivors speak up for themselves, because it's one thing to hear about violence against women and children, but it's another thing to have, actual people or actual survivors who have experienced these things come up and stand against their aggressors and their abusers. And that's very important. That's the most important thing, because toxic masculinity is one of the most prevalent problems that we have right now in society. And being in a patriarchal society like the Philippines, it's it's really a problem that we need to address. As Miss Denise a while ago said as well, it's very important to teach our young men how to treat women right and how to treat women as their equals, because we are all equal. So these things are our objectives and our proposals, and the things that we are implementing to prevent violence against women and children, because educating women comes first, because we think that once a person is educated, once a person is aware of his or her rights, he would know, or he or she would know how to stand up to his aggressors and to speak up and not accept the abuse that's been going on for a while. So it's not just physical abuse. It's also about the microaggressions that we receive daily, catcalling, or just talking about women like they're objects, objectifying women both in media and in their personal lives, and for other people as well within their households, even within their family members, who should be respecting them in the very first place. So we are here to speak up and to help the youth to stand up against these aggressors and these abusers. And if you also want to take part in these collaborations and in these projects that the ASEAN Youth Organization is very much welcoming everyone to be part as a volunteer and as a member within at least 500 strong volunteer community in the Philippines. And we invite you to be part of the ASEAN Youth Organization to help us and end violence against women and children. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for the team and the campaign. It's a great thing to be doing, and it's a pleasure for the ASEAN Youth Organization to host this with you.
All right, thank you very much, Colin. Indeed, Iowa has a lot of projects that we are truly proud of. And yes, we would like to call on the youth and young professionals to support and join IO. Now, Colin, how can they reach IO if they want to join or support in whatever way they can? Would you have any links to promote, like a Facebook page, who to contact?
Yes. Yes, we start. Yeah, please follow the ASEAN Youth Organization on our Facebook account. The URL is ASEANPHL. So our Facebook account hosts all free webinars and all free training. So if you want to get all these webinars and all these knowledge, it's freely available for everyone, not just for our youth, but for all our the other Filipinos and other ASEAN communities as well. We also have LinkedIn pages, and you can just message your Facebook page if you want to be part of any project, or if you want to promote anything and collaborate with the ASEAN Youth Organization. You're all very welcome.
All right, thank you very much. We truly support your cause. Now, let us move on to our next speaker. She will be speaking about a topic that is very relevant nowadays, and in fact, Denise and Colin have also mentioned these as well. The question is, how is mental health related to violence against women? To share more about this, we have with us a global Asian model of Malaysia in 2019 and current YANA ambassador of Southeast Asia. She is a mental health advocate as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Melisha Lin. Take it away, Miss Melisha.
Thank you, Miss Dora, the event head of Violence Against Women campaign. And yeah, my name is Melisha Lin. I'm a host, model, aspiring beauty queen, and also an advocate here in Malaysia. So in today's topic, I'll be talking about mental health. And yeah, I'm a youth over here, and I have listened to the previous speakers talking about mental health and talking about women empowerment. I'm so inspired to like be a part of this program and now giving my speech here. So before we actually go in deep, I would like to put up some disclaimers as my topic today might trigger you if you have been abused, violated, or even exploited. My topic today is about abuse towards your mental health isn't love. The reason why I choose this topic is because um, during my childhood, I have gone through some things myself, and I want to tell other people or other victims of domestic violence, or whether they have abusive parents or even abusive relationship, that they can transform themselves and be better. And I'm here to tell you my experiences and how I grew out of it. So every day, all around the world, women and girls face violence. It ranges from emotional to physical to even sexual. Growing up, we are taught that women are supposed to carry babies. Do you agree with me? Especially, I remember times where my grandparents will joke around and say like, oh, don't bother studying. At the end of the day, you're going to get married and you're going to end up being a housewife. And yeah, just take care of your home, learn how to cook. That is what we are taught to do. We are not taught to pursue education or even, get a degree or diploma or to learn to be a better person in general. So kitchen is where we belong. And, this statement always makes me laugh because I feel like, we're in 2021, and if this still happened, it's a little bit of a shame where we need to change the mindset of people. And we are taught to dress modestly. The reason why I'm dressed in this attire today is also to say that this is how I want to dress, and it's okay. I'm not here to be objectified, or I'm not here to be sexualized. I'm just here being myself, giving my speech. And yeah, we are taught to not speak up for ourselves, and we are taught to be silenced by society. And that's why I understand, whenever Miss Colleen earlier and Miss Denise said that, um, we are here to empower other women, to give them the spirit, or to be the frontliners to speak up first so that they would follow our guide. And girls are being raped, by men, because that men are not taught at a younger age to not objectify women. So I'm totally on board when Mr. Denise actually talk about how, we should teach men first, and also like empower women and empower men as well, but in a way teach them to respect us. We need that respect. Otherwise we wouldn't feel safe, even though if our husbands or our partners in the future, if they don't respect us, our children won't respect us. We must get that respect from our future spouse. And I'm totally on board with that. And girls are being forced at a young age because of money and greed of parents. Women are getting blamed for how they are dressed, for how they attract men, for how there are people who ask for it. Reason why I wrote this line was because I grew up in a world where technology is kind of advanced, and everywhere I go there is social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere I see men or people just saying that girls are on social media with their outfits or cute outfits, that they are attracting men. Why are you attracting me? You're making me do this and that, which, it's totally not true. We deserve to dress however we want, to be confident and to be pretty. And we are not objects. We are just here asking for respect. And I just want to feel good in a way. And however, statistics shows that 1 in 3 women will experience some sort of violence during their lifetime, and that's more than 1 billion women worldwide. It truly saddens me because, you see, what did we do to deserve violence from anyone? We preach peace, we preach gender equality, we preach everything. However, there's still violence happening all around the world, especially in India. Girls are still being sold, to get married to older men. They are not even 14 or not even 18 to make the choice themselves. They are being sold because of money. And how are we here, living a normal life and, going through every single day? How can you not feel sad for them and stay silent? So I can't understand that part when people tell me that, you can't do anything much. You shouldn't even try. And I'm here to tell you that you should try. You should at least try to make a change, because if you don't, these poor girls, poor boys or girls are being just sold for money, getting violated, and there's nothing that their government are doing. They're just closing an eye. Do you know that girls, especially me, I am afraid to even walk in alleys and streets when it's getting dark? Especially when Miss Corleen said earlier, where we get catcalled and we get harassed. Yeah, that happened many times to me, and like every single time I think about it, I froze. And every time it happened, I froze. Reason being, it's scary. When you experience harassment or you experience anything, that you don't want it to happen to yourself, it's, in a way, I'm getting emotional. However, like, you can't do anything. And I'm here as an example. Now that I'm learning better, I'm trying to fight my fears and like talk about it. And like maybe in future, when I see anyone getting harassed, I can do something for them. I could stand up for them. We can't even dress like how we would love to, like I said earlier. Have you ever put on a dress? This line, when I wrote it, I really, really felt it. Have you ever put on a dress that you felt totally amazing? Felt super good. It's fitted to your body. However, when you show it to your families and friends or even partner, they ask you that question, where is that the dress you want to wear? Are you sure you want to wear that dress? I think it's a little bit revealing. Maybe, it's unnecessary, and abusive partners would say something like change into something else, or even like, manipulating you to think that the dress that you're wearing isn't right. And of course, as women, we sometimes, in that state of loving someone, you care for someone so deeply and you're so in love, you just felt like, you know what, I'm just gonna change. There's nothing wrong about it. But then after a while, you have that thought in your mind, like, I kind of like that dress, and I didn't understand why it changed into something else. So, and because of that, you actually did change into something else, and the insecurity girls are going through, starts from home. Reason why I say that is because, since young, my mom, your abuser doesn't need to be a man, guys. It can be woman. And my mom is one of those lady that I know that she mean no harm. However, maybe, the way she said it upsets me. She would say things like, why not you put on something else? Why not you put on a jacket over it? Or you cover up a little bit? Or maybe it's hot, the weather is hot, you want to put on something else. Like, can you cover up? Or, the time where you're having your meal, you're enjoying a really good meal, and then she just says something like, hey, you're gaining weight. Why not you diet or try to eat less? And violence doesn't mean physical violence. It can be emotional, can be mental. And that is why, I say that it can harm your mental health in a way. I feel like, it's getting really sad because we are taught to do so many things, and we are getting comments by other people saying that, you're a child, you should dress appropriately, which I always tell other people, you should dress the way you want to, but according to the occasion. And other than that, no one should tell you how you should dress. And I believe that, 100%. And, we get harassed by the eyes and hands of dirty man, and we get judged by uneducated people because in their eyes, us women are supposed to be caretakers, like I said earlier. And I would like to ask you, women that is watching this or girls that are watching this, have you ever gotten harassed and refused to enter the same bus that passes by your place every day? Have you walked to the nearest station because you feel unsafe to take a ride? I have. And many times, like I said, I froze. And statistics actually shows that 44% of women and girls have faced harassment during these peak hours. We are facing this violence daily, and most of us kept it to ourselves. Reason being, we tried telling other people. However, when we tell someone else, they will ask us the question, why? What are you wearing? Or why do you choose to go into the bus that time? It's your fault. It's your fault, and we're still getting victim blamed at this 2020, and it's really sad because I just want you to say, or I want you guys to know, especially girls and women that has been harassed, it's not your fault. It's never your fault. You get violated, you get disrespected. It's never your fault. And if I could, I would be that big sister that you need to protect you. And I'll be there, and I'll look out for you. Because there's something that I wish I could do for other people, or I wish I could do for my younger self, when I was getting harassed or violated. And many say that violence within a household is not their business and they cannot interfere. But my question to you is, would you let yourself go through abuse? Would you let yourself to be raped and to be silenced? How would you feel if these women and girls are your family members? What would you do to protect them? How would you care for them? So why stay silent? God taught us to love others, to be kind, and to help people in need. How can we educate others? That is a question that I ask myself every day. And when I agreed to be a speaker here, for Violence Against Women campaign, I took on that responsibility that I will be here to share my story and to give words of encouragement for other women to step up and to protect their girls. Men to feel like, hey, there's something going on in this world. Women are not getting treated right. Your girls are not getting treated right. And I will play a part in teaching my child, in teaching my kids to be a better person in general and to respect women. And for my last statement, I would say that I'm afraid to be a mom someday. I'm afraid to be a mom to a daughter. Reason being, I'm afraid of how this society is treating girls and also women. I don't want her to go through the pain of what us woman has gone through. To be harassed, to be violated, and to be disrespected. None of above. I would want it to happen to my dear daughter. To future parents, I beg you to give equal opportunities to your children to help them grow into individuals with principle and to able them to stand up against the abuser. Tell them that if they do end up in an abusive relationship, that they can always come home to you and start over. They should be able to date anyone that love them and care for their well-being. They should be able to grow to be whatever they want, and it's their choice to love. Tell them that abuse towards your mental health isn't love. And I only have a minute to go. So promise me next time when you see another girl getting harassed, another girl begging to not be taken away from their mother, another girl that has signs of abuse, help them. Stop it and bring her to safety. Don't let her go just because she said it's okay. Call the authorities, make sure to stay with her until she's okay. Trust the signs of abuse and stand with us. Violence Against Women and Children campaign. Let's aim for a community free of violence against women. And it truly starts with me. Again, this is Melisha Lin, a global Asian model Malaysia, in support of the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very informational and inspiring. So, to quote Melisha, let us speak for ourselves. We deserve to dress however we want, but of course, according to the occasion. Thank you again for being a brave example and for giving us that reminder, Melisha. Now, before we
Thank
proceed
you.
to our next speakers, we have with us one of our partners from Amarella, Philippines. Founded in 2019, Amarella Philippines was formed envisioning accessible sexual and reproductive health care and education, women empowerment, and bodily autonomy in the Philippines and in the world. To share more about their brand, we have with us Ms. Samantha Vigilias. Take it away, Samantha.
Good afternoon. I'm Samantha. I'm a representative of Amarella Philippines. So, what is Amarella? Amarella is a sector based nonprofit and non government organization that advocates for sexual and reproductive health care in the Philippines and, as an extension, women empowerment and gender inclusivity. Amarella also fights for anti sexual harassment and against gender based violence. As an organization that advocates for these, we regularly produce information publications and are actively preparing different projects alongside them. Some projects we've had are Amarella Talks, which is a series of webinars tackling different topics relating to sexual and reproductive health to further inform and educate the public regarding these topics. Amarelief are relief projects that usually happen depending on the situation. Like our most recent project was to help those who were affected by the recent typhoons, and Kanlungan, which is a Facebook community that aims to provide a safe space for discussions regarding sexual and reproductive health care. If you want to learn more about Amarella Philippines, you can find us on our Facebook page, which is Amarella, or our Instagram page, which is amarella.ph. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samantha. So for everyone, please do follow their page. Now, we have with us another very beautiful advocate. She is the Mrs. Euro Philippines Universe 2019 to 2020 and Mrs. Universe Top 22. Wow. She's the founder of the Women Empowerment Connection Group and currently the head of Youth Empowerment Department, ASEAN Youth Organization, Philippines. We are also very grateful to her because she has asked her fellow Mrs. Universe candidates to help spread and promote and advertise this 18-day campaign. So I'd like to call on Miss Kathy Valdez, who will be speaking about our theme, women empowerment. Take it away, Miss Kathy.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Good morning, all the way here from Germany. Thank you so much for having me as one of your guest speaker. My name is Catherine Valdez, as Mr. Reen have already said. I am the reigning Mrs. Euro Philippines Universe, head of ASEAN Youth Empowerment, Youth Organization Philippines Youth Empowerment Department, and also the founder of Women Empowerment Connection and Facebook group. Honestly, what I going to share to all of you guys is my personal experience. And I honestly don't want to talk about my past because I practice law of attraction and gratitude, which means what you say, what you speak, and what you think is what you get in life. And I think talking about past will never get you anything except being reminded of the pain that you have experienced during those times. But I hope that other women who is undergoing the same circumstances like I had before will be encouraged to stand up for herself and do better upon hearing my story. Because for one thing that I could proudly say is that I never let my struggles and fears rule over me. I always seized the opportunity to grow from those struggles and raise my standards and become a better version of mine. I am a single mother of 2 kids. I got married at a very young age, 19 years old. I was married with a very successful businessman here in Germany. Everybody might say, oh, you are so lucky to be married with a rich husband, but it has always a dark side with it. It was a womanizer. And the worst thing to find out is from the very beginning of getting to know each other, from your engagement to your pregnancy and your entire marriage, that he has already been betraying you. I cannot count in my hands and feet how many times have he betrayed me. And the first time that I found out about it, I packed my clothes together with my son. But unfortunately, I have to go back to him because my son got into an accident. And from then on, the struggle started. He started blackmailing me where if I don't, sorry, is this really a painful past for me? If I don't act accordingly how he wanted it, that he will send me back to home and he could take away my son from me. And, as a young mother, I'm very sorry. That's the reason why I don't want to speak about my past. Who doesn't know her own right, living in a foreign country without no one, without her family, is really it's really a tremendous problem because you don't know where to go and what to do. It's just like being left in a very dark room blindfolded. And yeah, then one occasion during a family gathering, my sister-in-law kind of noticed how am I, and she asked me, how are you? And I just made a mimic that I'm not doing well. So she offered to visit me and take me in outside home, and I was really have the chance to freely talk everything what I'm going through. And from then, she just told me what should I do, where to get a help, to have a free consultation to a lawyer so that I know what to do. And from then on, I found out what are my rights, and then I was able to have my courage to, and I have to face my ex-husband or my husband at the time in front of the court and have to hear how he denies his own child. And from that kind of stress, I bleeded, and and I was so scared because I thought I am going to lose my daughter by that time. And from that kind of experience, I prayed so hard to God that just let my just save my daughter, and I will honor him forever. And from those experience, it made my feet keep my feet on the ground, and at the same time try to become a better version of myself. If I will compare myself before to now, there is a huge difference from someone who has no identity but being just on the shadow of her husband, who is not allowed to voice out her opinion nor make a decision, to someone who is who is now confident, independent, and has its own identity. My message to all women out there who is struggling from different kinds of abuse, to have courage and step out of yourself. I know that it is scary. It is a scary step, but trust yourself that there is so much into you and everything will work out for you. Do not let others define yourself. I decided for myself that I will never blame anyone on the situation I am in, because I am the captain of my own. And so I will never tolerate anyone to have the capability to put me under, abuse me, or control me. The same with my happiness, with or without a man. I can be the source of my own happiness. And being with someone is just an additional of the abundance I have inside of me. Have faith in God. Focus on your inner being and be grateful that you are alive, because life is so beautiful no matter what it gives you. There is always an opportunity, even on your struggles, by growing and gaining wisdom from it. Remember this: sayang ka if you will not start standing for your own. There will be a lot of offers out there, but if you cannot help your own self, then nothing will happen, nothing will change in your life. Never let anyone define yourself. So again, I think that's it from me. I hope that this kind of words of encouragement have helped you stand for your own self. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Kathy. That was very brave of you, and we truly support you and your cause. And it was really amazing. I mean, I also wanted to tear up, but of course, um,
I know I really choke from it, because it was really a hard time. I cried tons during the pregnancy of my second child, and yeah, that's the reason why I kind of just let go all of it and just focus on the future, focus on growing on myself, raising my standard, because I think um like I said before, sometimes blaming doesn't take you anywhere, because we are our captain on our own. Never let anyone define yourself. If you know your true core value, then whatever other people think about you doesn't really matter, because in the end, they could not help you. You know, yeah, everything always start on your own. So if you will just like being so attached, being so dependent on what others think of you, how other people will make you happy, then that is just like surviving. That is not life at all. But if you tend to be independent and know what's good for yourself, I think nobody would dare to abuse or take you under, because you yourself, you know how to help yourself. So I believe there's a lot of help offers already there, like this kind of platform, how we try to reach out to all those women who are being abused right now. I think that before getting help from those other people and other organizations, help should start on our own.
Very true.
Yes.
So the law of attraction. What you say,
Well,
what you see, and what you think will happen. I also believe in that.
exactly. Exactly. From that moment on, because right now, educating ourselves and all of those struggles, like I said also before, that from all those struggles and any problems that's being thrown at us, there is still an opportunity to grow from it. I'm very sorry because there's a tendency for me to speak German in between, so I'm trying to control myself and being aware of that. Not that suddenly I'm speaking German in front of everybody, but yeah, I really hope and that all of the women right now who is watching us speak about the campaign to end violence against women. Please, the only thing that you could do to yourself is help your own self, stand for your own self. Nobody is allowed, or nobody should have the capability to put you under and abuse you. If you start saying no to anyone, then you have it. Then nobody could take you under. That's it.
Okay, thank you again, Kathy. Virtual hugs for you. I'm sure there are a
Thank you
lot
so
of
much.
people who can relate to Kathy's story. So thank you again for sharing it. You are definitely a wonderful role model, and through your story and your strong personality, women around the world will remember to be courageous. Again, never let others define you. Help yourself and stand for yourself. Now,
Exactly.
let us move on to our last speaker. She is a current member of the Philippine House of Representatives and at the same time representing the youth sector under the Kabataan party list. She is Ms. Sarah Jane Elago, who became the country's youngest ever woman lawmaker when she entered the House of Representatives at 26 for her first term after the 2016 elections. She also became the youngest lawmaker currently serving in Congress of the Philippines. Although she mentioned that she cannot make it now, she has prepared a video for us. Please watch this.
Hi, greetings to the ASEAN Youth Organization, to all the amazing organizers, speakers, and attendees. Congratulations for making it here and participating in the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. As a young woman member of Congress and party list representative of the youth sector in the Philippines, it is our obligation to perform the mandate of raising the voices of the marginalized. The advocacy on gender equality is an integral part of our work as a youth legislator. Why? We do not want to inherit a future where there is more of the abuse, discrimination, exploitation, and polarization we see here and experience today. It is clear to us that there can be no peace without equality, socio-economic development, inclusivity, and justice. Thus, this youth representation stands in solidarity with all of you who are united for the elimination of violence against women and pursue better conditions and safe spaces for women and children, especially those coming from the marginalized and vulnerable sectors. Now, in the midst of a pandemic, we have seen how the COVID 19 and the economic fallout it caused has thus far deepened pre existing inequalities and has disproportionate impact on women. Compounded economic impacts are felt, especially by women and girls who are generally earning less, saving less, and holding insecure jobs or living close to poverty. Unpaid care work has also increased, with children out of school, heightened care needs for the elderly, and overwhelmed health services. With restricted movement and social isolation measures, gender based violence is also increasing exponentially. Health services mostly needed by women were deprioritized, including access to reproductive and sexual health care, maternal care, among other essential services. As a member of the regional network of parliamentarians working together to promote and protect human rights, we call on all our public officials in the ASEAN to ensure women's equal representation in all of the COVID-19 response planning and decision making. They should also apply a gender lens to the design of the economic stimulus packages and social assistance programs to achieve greater equality, greater opportunities, greater social protection. I call on, on all our fellow parliamentarians to likewise respond to the issues, concerns, challenges in education, health, and employment, all if remain unaddressed comprehensively and substantially would only rob our children and the youth and the next generation a better future. In all these, our governments have the primary responsibility to intervene, to save lives, and to continue the work on the elimination of violence against women based on addressing the overall challenges in the current state of human rights and justice. In its obligation to protect the people's well-being. So shifting towards a just and greener economy that boosts decent employment, offers social protection to all, ensures sustainable food supplies is imperative. These will not only help us to more rapidly cushion the immediate impact of the recession, but also to avoid future similar shocks and be more resilient to crisis. We need to collaborate even closer so that we become an initiative force to build back better, to ensure that our leaders learn the lessons from the crisis and to grow from these challenging times and to guard against further encroachment on our fundamental freedoms. For a clear path forward, it's imperative to also solidly follow through on all our efforts to end violence against women and children. Let us fight all forms of gender-based violence and discrimination. Let us assess where we are now, draw the challenges, and to likewise celebrate our accomplishments along the way. This youth representation has high hopes that we, the women and the youth, will continue to come and work together for a better future. Let's always keep our health and well-being in check as we vow to end violence against women. Let us continue to support and look after each other. Now more than ever, amid the pandemic, it is high time that we build social solidarity despite the physical distancing. Let us spread hope. Let us act with courage. Hope and courage are also contagious. We can build back better. We can build back better. We must. Stay healthy. Stay hopeful, everyone.
So definitely we can build back better. Hope and courage. Thank you very much, Representative Sarah Elado. Wherever you are, please take care. She mentioned that she's currently doing her community work, but she was very honored to prepare this video in support of this campaign. Now, let us proceed to the highlight of this event, which is the open forum. And I would like to call on all our speakers to please join me. We are now opening the floor to questions from the audience. All right, so We have one question from Miss Angel Bian. She says, "Thank you for being an advocate of this campaign to end VAUC. I'd like to ask, what can you say to the critics of the feminism movement? Specifically, I'd like to know your thoughts on the opinion of some that feminism and activities such as this promotes misandry and the elevation of women's rights over men." So, Melisha, would you like to go first? You're on mute. I'm sorry
I didn't
about
notice that I was on mute. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Do you mind if I look at the questions once again?
Surely.
Yeah, just to better understand the question. Okay. All right. Thank you. What would I like to say to the critics of feminism movement? I do believe that everyone stand for their own causes, and here we are standing for violence against women, and we're trying to empower other women and to grow together and to support one another. Especially like I heard so many empowering stories today, and like I feel really empowered now to speak up. So I feel like to those critics of feminism movement, you should think of the movement as a way to stand up for yourself. Look at them and understand what they are trying to advocate for, instead of just bashing about it for nothing. Because I do notice that a lot of critics, usually when they're critic about certain things or certain advocacy, they don't really understand what they are really doing. They misunderstood, like what Miss Denise said earlier, like they misunderstood what is the true meaning of feminism or what they are really doing. So in their mind, it's something else, so that they criticize it. So if you finally try to understand it, I think that would really help, and be more supportive towards people that are trying to stand up for their causes and for women. Yeah. So to answer the second part of the question, it was talking about how we could remove the gender equality, right? Am I right? So
Yeah.
I think how I would suggest is by exactly how Miss Denise and how Miss Corleen said earlier, where we teach the men how to respect women. And from there, they finally understand, all right, women can also do certain things. Women can do the same things as they are doing. I don't need my dad to help me to nail something on the wall. I can do it myself. And that is how we should teach our future kids, or I would teach my son to respect other women and to not look at other women as objects, and I hope that, other parents in the future would do the same. And from there, gender equality would go away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How about Miss Kathy? What's your thought on the question by Miss Angel Bian?
I'm very sorry. Well, for me, there is a saying, have an open mind, but attached to nothing. Think that is so. Instead of focusing on the negative things, just try to focus on the positive things. Because if you always start on looking at the negative things, then there will be more tons of negative things that you will see, instead of seeing what are the good things about it. So I hope those people, instead of like thinking that is something that is not a good thing or whatever, but I hope that everyone could just like try to focus on being kind and being loving, so that at least, because feminism movement is for us women, if you're not that interested on helping anyways, then I think it's better to refrain yourself, because I don't know what other people get from it, but focusing on just saying bad things about such movement, where I think the platform for it is just helping to others. Honestly, if you will look and focus on your inner being, it's just like a toxic on yourself. If you keep saying bad things about this and that, there's also one saying that what you say or what others say to you doesn't define you or doesn't define them, but it defines you. So if you're just saying so much hateful words or so much negativity is coming out of your mouth, imagine how many negativity you're having in your own self. And that's just a pity. So I think it's much better to focus your life on just being loving and being kind, because I think from it, it's more beneficial for you. So for those critics of feminism movement, I hope that you will find true love in yourself and start being kind, because the biggest thing or thing that will be benefit from it is you. I think that's the only thing, because if you're saying negative things or just criticizing other people, just like it's so sad and such pity, because it just shows that there's so much hateful things coming from your inner self. I mean, what is coming outside of your mouth is just a reflection of yourself. So it's really just a pity. So if you wanted to show the world that everything is going fine with you, if you're practicing such a good thing in yourself, then you will also start uh, saying good things. And that's what I was telling, law of attraction: what you say, what you think, and what you say and what you think is what you get. If you're saying negative things, then you will get only negative things. If you're saying only positive things, then only positive things is what are you attracting in your life. So for those critics of the feminism movement, it's just such a pity, because it just shows your negative reflection of your inner being. That's it.
Wow, such strong, powerful words, but truly agree, Miss Kathy. Can we have Miss Denise? Is she here?
Hi, good
Hi.
afternoon.
Afternoon.
May I have the question again, please?
All right. The question is, I'd like to ask, what can you say to the critics of the feminism movement, specifically your thoughts on the opinion of some that feminism and activities such as this promotes misandry and the elevation of women's rights over men?
As what I mentioned in my speech earlier, that feminist has different nuances and definition. In the 19th, 20th century, there are three cases or different types of feminism. It doesn't mean you're a feminist already, purely a women, totally women, and um, removing men in your principles. There are different kinds of top three feminists. We have liberal feminists, radical feminists, and bloc feminists. Liberal feminists is most of the, it's like a mainstream where society are being commercialized in the media. We're in that's a liberal feminist. The like it doesn't mean that you're really hating the men, but totally like really a total a woman or a girl, like everything that what a woman have is totally you have, like you just like the ordinary feminist. The other one, which is full of that views patriarchy, we have the radical feminists. It views the patriarchy and the sexism, and the black feminists, the school thought the cutting down of races and cutting out of different political views. So there are different kinds of feminists. The question is, what kind of feminist I am? Am I a feminist who really hate men and trying to be so um, rebel, or trying to be somebody, but trying to make an impact, but being insensitive in our words and doesn't give a good backup research about what we're saying, or a feminist who literally educate men and women and not hating men, because we women come from our father and host, I mean, from mother and father, so we cannot just hate men. We're not here we're not going to be raised only for women of our from mother, but also our father. So basically we don't have the right to hate men. The only solution to this question is, it is over it's a over accuse and over abuse and commercialize when it comes to different media. Media will definitely put a lot of writing, especially if it's coming from a powerful feminist, especially if they're coming from political views, or coming from a background of a lawyer or activist. So especially if that media portrayed that feminist, so basically that the mentality of the youth and other people who are reading will have a bad connotation of feminist. So it's not really educated. It is not really properly educating the masses or the people. So it depends on the media, who are they featuring it. It's very important, especially as a feminist. You're taking responsibility of what kind of words you want to say. It should be backup of a law, of a story, of authenticity, sincerity, of a significance of the problem, and also the solution. Because if you just come out and just spread hate, there will be definitely a raising eyebrows of men, and definitely that the war and the argument will definitely be will be the cause of separating of men and women. So I think I hope I answered the question very the way I wanted to um, to share to the viewers.
All right, very well said and very well researched. Wow. How about Miss Colin? What is your take on this? Miss Colin? All right, I'm not sure if she's having a little bit of technical difficulties. Can you hear us? Yeah, there. So, how about you? What's your take on the previous question that was asked earlier regarding critics of the feminism movement?
Yeah, I think the critics of feminism are coming from, several backgrounds, like men from, very patriarchal societies, or women who are also very conservative when it comes to their beliefs. And as Miss Denise also said a while ago, there are a couple of different waves of feminism, actually, from the conservatives to the radical types of feminism, which we're very well aware of. And they have, different perspectives and different responses to how to tackle the patriarchal society. But I think these criticisms can also be taken into account by the feminist movement, so that they will be able to tap those critics, and to make sure that their voices are being heard and they are communicating on the best platform in the best way possible, to tap these individuals and to make sure that they realize and understand how important feminism really is, not just for women alone, but for men who are also affected by standards of toxic masculinity in our patriarchal society. Men not being able to dress as they want to, or men who are being pressured by these standards that are not fair for them as well. So I think it goes hand in hand. It can be, aside from it being a criticism, it can also be a very great tool when it comes to formatting the kind of perspective and the kind of marketing that the feminist movement wants to project towards people, so they can appear and they can really forward their values towards the individuals who need their views the most.
All right, wow. I love the answers of everyone here, and we have more questions. I think this question is very interesting. What is your opinion on seeking professional help? How can those who experience violence proceed? All right, so now I think let's start with Miss Denise. Oh, you're on mute. Kindly unmute, please. Thank you.
Okay, like what others are doing, the first thing that they have to go is to go to a friend. And when a friend cannot give them a concrete answer and cannot, heal them, then they go to a professional help, which is psychiatrists, psychologists, and I also include some pastors and other religious acts who really sincerely can help heal their spiritually, because it's not just physically you're hurting, but also spiritually, because your inner spirit is breaking into pieces. Um, like I know other people, if you cannot like what do you mean by professional help? There are lawyers. Is it a psychiatrist, a psychologist? When if you have the means, and you can go with every different kinds of professional help. But there's no such thing, I think, as professional, because it's, as a woman, it's not easy to share your private story, and not everyone can understand you. It depends who will appreciate your history, appreciate people around you, because the first problem, or the main problem of a woman to go in a professional help, is firstly they will be blamed. Why did you do that? Why you didn't like that? And that stops them the confidence of seeking professional help. And how can those who experience violence proceed? Um, I am not expert with those different kinds of, as I've mentioned, the different kinds of violence, and there are steps that you need to go through, especially that when you go to a lawyer, and the lawyer needs a for you to validate your claim. It's not easy. You need to have a psychiatrist or psychologist to claim that really traumatized, and it's not easy. So in order to make a woman have the confidence to go to a professional, because they think that they will be blamed, the first thing is um, to to analyze themselves and have this strength within themselves, that are they really going to the right person? Is it really connected by, is it really referred by a good friend? Because it's breaking into pieces. As a woman, it's not easy to go just everywhere and spread your stories, and you have to pay a professional fee, and just some people will just give you schedule, and it's really frustrating, and it doesn't only gives you a lack of confidence, but also lack of time, lack of I mean, a lot of stress, and a lot of financial that will cost you a lot. So it always depends on you, on how you see things. If you have the means to go for professional help, you go. But I think the most professional that you can go help to seek help is God, because God will give you a divine intervention, how on who people you're going to talk to, who you people can understand you, and if you have a close friend, your family, who is really professional on how to see you as a young lady, or I mean, violence can also happen in men. I mean, if they see really how you or your upbringing, how they really raise you, then they're the one who will um, give you a recommendation on what how you're going to do it. Because the first thing is to embrace people who supports you, create a positive surrounding, so that you will have those confidence before you seek a professional help.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Aside from the different professionals that Ms. Denise mentioned, and of course, a friend, it's definitely God, because He knows more than everyone. He is the ultimate being. So thank you very much. How about Miss Melisha? Any thoughts on this? Any suggestions for our um, viewers?
My opinion on seeking professional help is actually, I would totally agree with Miss Denise. As you know, when I wanted to go and seek a professional, I was like, I'm afraid of the judgment. You know, sometimes you hear all those stories revolving psychiatrists or doctors, and they are always like judging you in a way. But however, I did went to a therapist, I would say, and choosing the right therapist is the key here. If you choose one that is wrong and the one that is invalidating what you're experiencing, then you're going to feel worse, because that happened to me. And I'm telling you that you should, you know, try to find someone that, you know, like what Miss Denise say, find someone like a friend first, you know, see how is she responding to what you're telling. You know, certain friends, you know, they will say like, I'm here to support you, I'm listening to what you're telling me, I'm thinking that whatever feelings that you are going through, it's valid. However, you have friends that are
Okay, I think we lost Miss Melisha for a while. Let's go to Miss Kathy.
Well, for me, based on my experience, of course, however the world might be, humanity still always prevails. There is always still a person out there who is willing to reach out their hands. And that's how, in my case, my sister-in-law kind of saw how I really look during family gatherings, and she has um, the she has the this kind of like, how are you? And I couldn't speak openly by that time, and I just made a mimic, and she immediately read the whole situation and offered, let me visit you and hear you. And the rest was history. She taught me how am I going to obtain a free consultation with a lawyer. What should I do? Because by that time, I was so young. I was only like 23 years old. I don't have any family, and I don't know my rights. As in, I was, like I said, I was married with a very successful husband. I was just a trophy wife. I was not allowed to have my own decision or voice out my opinion. Even how I dress, I was always told to what should I dress, how should I act, how should I breathe. That's how my life was, and everybody was thinking that everything from my outside is very beautiful, but in reality, I was like in a golden cage. I was not happy. I was rotting inside. And thankfully too, sometimes honestly, we cannot generalize that, within people. But not only Filipino, also, I think, um, everywhere there's always people who love gossiping. And but still I decided to have a social contact with the Filipino community here. And the very good thing about Filipino is having a strong faith to God. And I just attended every Bible study where I could go into. And Germany is honestly not like in the Philippines, that there's always an hour mass and that it's always open to the public. But then I was lucky that there is this one church. It's like 30 minutes travel with tram from my house. And by that time, I don't have my own driver's license. I don't have my own car, but I still travel there. During that time, I thought to myself, if God has only heard his cell phone or a hotline, I will be the number one customer. And I always went there every day and just cried out everything what's inside of me. As in, I literally just spend my whole day there every time I brought my son to the kindergarten, because it was just too much to bear in my heart. And by that time, I was pregnant. Everybody was telling me, oh my gosh, don't cry so much because the baby might be affected. It's unhealthy for the baby. And thankfully and luckily, when my daughter was born, she was so um, like she's healthy. That's the number one. And second is she have always this happy smile on her face as if nothing was happened. In short, some Filipinos who have known here, they make jokes that, oh, your daughter hindi halatang pinaglihi sa sama ng loob, because they have known how much struggled I have during my pregnancy. I'm like, I was alone. I have to face my husband in front of the court while he was denying that he is not the father. I brought my mom here to help me during labor time, and it turns out that my mother has cancer. So it's just like um, during my end month, I was fighting for my mom's life. And what's the worst case by that time? My ex-husband was like, oh, your mother is going to be transferred in a big hospital. I am pretty sure that the travel insurance that you got from her will not shoulder those expenses, and you will be at least be spending 30 to 40,000 euro. Send your mom back home. I will not lend you a cent. And that was so painful for me to hear. And I said, but that is my mom. And I couldn't let my mom go back to the Philippines without doing first what's best for her. I mean, my mom is only one. My mom has only one life, and I have to do my best. And all those things I went that through during my pregnancy. As in every day I was crying. I brought my mom to the hospital. I finally got her admitted in the hospital. And the night after that, my water bag, what they call this, exploded. And my mom was in what they call this, was being operated, and I was giving birth to my daughter, and I was totally alone. And I crawled. It was really so painful because, yeah, um, it, it's how would I explain it? But it was really painful that the OB gynecologist feel pity on me and told me, gave me the phone and told me, call your husband. And I begged my husband to come, although I was unsure if he will come or really or not. But still, the OB gynecologist said, no, you have to call your husband to come here and help you. But all of those begging, he never come. But a problem with me is I cannot be also mean. After my daughter was born, he visited the hospital. If I am someone who is like, don't show your face here, I don't want to see your face, you have no right to see your daughter. But then that is the bad thing about me too, that I could never be mean to someone else. I don't know how to
Not
get
a bad
angry.
thing. It's not a
I
bad
don't
thing. Not a
I
bad
don't know
thing.
how, but nevertheless, yeah, God is always there as
Yeah.
our, source of strength about everything. So I think the number one thing professional help that we could say is having faith to God. As in, during that time, yeah, every day, whole day, from 8 to 5 o'clock until I have to pick up my daughter, I was only at the church crying out and pouring every um, pain in my heart out to God. And that's how I have my professional help.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you know what? It's nice that you commended Filipinos. Indeed, Filipinos have a good heart, and we are all staying here in such a way that we do have strong faith in God.
Exactly.
So, Ms. Melisha, I know that you got cut earlier. Would you like to finish your answer on the question?
Thank you. As I said earlier, going to a therapist, you need to choose the right therapist so that they do validize your emotions and how you're going through everything, and how can those people or victims, proceed from here. I would say the same as Miss Denise. You need to understand that feeling that you're going through. You have to analyze it and know how you're going to you're going to go out from it. I did that with myself. I analyzed it like, I can't be like this forever. I need to make a move. I'm still young. It's okay. It's not my fault. You need to set in your mind that it's not your fault, and you cannot have done anything to change it. People will say you could change it, if you have wore something else, or you have, blame it on other things, but no, 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 no. Don't blame it on anything else. Just focus on yourself. Think that, it happened. It's okay. I'm going to proceed from here, and I need help. If I don't have friends around me that could understand me, I'm going to go seek a professional that I know will help me go through this and be a better person. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Miss Melisha. And of course, Miss Colin.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of professional help, I think the very first thing, as a survivor as well, and from daily microaggressions from men, I think the very first thing that women should do, aside from seeking professional help, is to build your very own support system. A support system consisted by your friends or any family. And what's really important is that they don't blame you for what happened, and they don't gaslight you into thinking that you should have done something else, that it was a fault on your end. And it should be a support system who understands that you're going through something, and a support system that would not um, compromise you when you're very vulnerable in your life. So it should be a support system that can cover all your bases when you're figuring things out for yourself. So I think that's aside from professional help, that's the one thing that women should look for. A good friendship, a good community. And coming from a 500 strong volunteer system from the ASEAN Youth Organization, yeah, if you're looking for a community, if you're looking for a progressive community who can help you through it, yeah, maybe as ASEAN can help you out with it. Yeah.
Wonderfully said, Miss Colleen. Before we proceed to the last question, I'd like to introduce a special guest from the United States. Okay, he is Mr. Shannon Anderson. I'm very proud to introduce him because he is the founder of Mjolnir Practical Self-Defense Pistol Class for Ladies in the U.S. He studied psychology, traits of criminal backgrounds, and mindsets for over 10 years. Wow, which he now also teaches to women for them to be better equipped in self-defense in order to avoid harassment and abuse. So, before we proceed again with the last question, Mr. Shannon, we would like to ask you to give some basic tips on self defense for women.
I think the first key is not to allow yourself, when you have a feeling in your heart that something's wrong, listen to that feeling. You may want something in your life, but you know it's wrong. So you have to listen to your heart, as Kathy said about God, whatever. Listen to that. And I think that's what she was saying about that. In defense, I don't share this very well. Matter of fact, I've never shared this in my life, but I was molested 3 times as a child growing up. So I learned from being shamed that I'm never going to allow this to happen again. So what you have to do in your head is protect yourself all the time. You're the only person that can make a change in your life. That's it. That's the first defensive tactic. You're the only person that can make a change in your life. You're the only person that can defend yourself daily and think situational awareness. What's going on around me? What's not right? So normally you ask a question about defensive tactics. There are three things you do every day. You're either at your home, you're at your job, or you're in public. So you have to understand what's different about my home. Do I see footprints on the grass? Do I see something different? You're at your job. I was training my banker and I said, people like to rob banks. What do you do if this happens? She goes, well, I don't know. My bank's never been robbed. So I think the first key is to have a plan to escape, to do, and to protect everybody around you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Any other things that women should take note of in terms of, let's say, they go out and suddenly they
Absolutely.
go
So
ahead.
if you're a single lady and you go to a bar, watch your drink. If you have a drink and you go to the restroom, you go once you leave that drink, never go back to it. Cover your drink with your thumb. Hold your hand over your drink. Do whatever because what you're doing to show someone is I'm not going to be a victim. It's going to be hard. Um, Predators look for easy targets. There's two things a predator don't want to happen to them. They don't want to be hurt and they don't want to be caught. So if your hands over your drink, your thumbs in your beer, whatever, you're making yourself not available to be a victim. I think that's the most important thing is don't make yourself available to be a victim. And it starts, unfortunately, I could say pray for everybody, whatever, but unfortunately, you have to do something yourself first. I don't like any violence towards anybody, but you have to do something yourself to protect yourself.
Wow, thank you. I think your tips are very, very relevant, especially nowadays. Again, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, Mr. Shannon Anderson. And now we move on to our last question. So, our last question goes, hi, everyone. Just curious to know that if, aside from culture, race, and status, are there other variables known to cause or trigger violence against women? If so, how do you think it should be fostered over time? So maybe we can start with Miss Colin.
All right. So aside from culture, race, or status, what are other determinant factors of being a victim? Is that right? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think in terms of violence against women, I don't personally, and as an advocate myself, I don't think there is a determinant. Yeah. Being a volunteer for the ASEAN Youth Organization, I think that it should not be normalized that there are certain groups or there are certain races or certain religions who are, prone to these kinds of abuse. I think the general thinking should always be this is not an option, that this shouldn't happen, that this should be impossible in a modern society, in a modern contemporary society where women are more educated more than ever, where men are, as accomplished and women are as accomplished and as successful as men. There should not be an identifying factor because it should be eliminated from the get go. Yeah, I think that's my personal opinion on it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. How about Miss Melisha? Any thoughts on this?
I think for me, it's technology. Reason being, technology nowadays, people are all over social media saying unkind words, triggering women, especially harassing them online. So I think it's something that, over time, it's going to only get worse if we don't put a stop to it. Have moderators going through comments, deleting comments so that, or even have certain acts on it, enforce more acts on it to protect women from getting verbal abuse online.
Totally agree on that, especially nowadays that everybody's staying at home and it's the digital world. How about you, Miss Denise? Any thoughts on this? I'm sorry, your mic is on mute. Thank you. It's
Sorry.
okay.
A religious country, I would say I have to highlight this thing. You notice that the marriage starts from the woman should submissive to their husband, and this religious practice to perpetuate the myth that women should be submissive in a way that you cannot speak for your rights. I that is the first
I got a good point on that.
argument, right? So the first argument that how women will stand for themselves if the first in some church they're already uh, um, making a principle that women should submit to their husbands. But the question, but the problem is here. How about the husband? The
Exactly.
husband, the women, the statement is not just women should submit to their husband, but also men should respect and give voice and learn how to stand for women's rights as a husband.
Absolutely.
That's what
Absolutely.
lacking is. So we're
Absolutely.
talking about the long term and the short term. There are a lot of women's rights associations that are doing their best. But the question is, are they doing it for long term or short term? What are their initiatives? Like these webinars, there are a lot of webinars ending about violence against women. Is it short term or long term? As what I talked to Ms. Doralyn way back before we start. I think Women's Month is coming on March. And this is a perfect introductory brainstorm and how we're going to enumerate the different kinds of violence and different kinds of feminists, different kinds of women, and of course how to train and discipline men. As a as I'm also a martial arts. I'm also a martial arts ambassador, which is I'm a former athlete, and we don't want to promote violence. I don't promote violence to anyone. No one, we came from violence, World War I, occupied by different kind of different countries, and we don't want to be controlled. The only solution here is to why we have to wait for violent or for violence to be the solution so that this men will to stop this. So if you're looking for the long term, I think the best is if we're since we're looking for the gender equality principle here is men should also, which is I appreciate Ms. Shannon is here and speaking as a representative of men, that men should also stand for women. It doesn't mean you're standing for
Absolutely.
gay. You're standing for women because you will have future grandchildren, you will have future future daughters, and that is you're looking for the long term. It is very important if you have this kind of concept and principles and vision and mission, especially if you're really advocating for women's rights. Long term is very essential, especially if you include men in the story. So I think the question still remain that before we go over with preventions and fighting and building the youth and the women, we have also to focus on the first argument is how why is it only women should be quiet and should be only submissive to men, and men can just be we're just promoting masculinity like what with Miss Collins said again, that she
I
replaced
have
what
an
I
answer.
the toxic masculinity. We have to balance this mindset and make an action, be strong and be firm. And as a woman, long term again, woman should identify what kind of woman influence you are. Are you going to influence women and it comes to fame and putting yourself into how to objectify you by men, or how you going to influence also other women to be respected? Respect comes from yourself as a woman. So there is no partition here. Women should know their role and responsibility as a woman, so they will also prevent this kind of disrespect and also gain respect for other men. But not exception to the rule, men should also make their double effort to eliminate the violence against women, and also to have a sustainable solution and vision for it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for introducing that mindset. It's really something new and something that we should definitely support, Ms. Denise. How about you, Miss Kathy? You're on mute, Miss Kathy.
Unmute. For me, I think one of the triggers, unfortunately, is the upbringing. Not everyone have the chance to grow up in a very healthy environment where um, the family's core value is love. And I think the biggest thing that we can do against it, or so, is that be aware and educate ourselves, that for sure, for those people who keep throwing hate on us, or for having so much negativity in their life, that we don't try to give them back some negative or hateful things too, but instead try to be more understanding, and try to be bigger in a sense of like be understanding and show kindness and love. So I always keep repeating this because I think that's the biggest thing that the world needs now, starting in ourselves, being kind and being loving to everyone that we encountered. Have this kind of sincerity towards each person that we meet, because I think um it is pity that they don't know other way but just to become hateful and use violence instead on communicating on what they want and how they wanted it. So for those people, I think we should be more understanding and extend help to them on how we are able to help them change for the better, because I believe still that there is no such constant in this world, if or that, oh, you're already old enough that you are not able to change anything on your personality. If there's a will in our heart, there's a big possibility to change for the better. That's it.
Wow, amazing. And that was really something very strong indeed, Miss Kathy. And of course, Mr. Shannon, our special guest. Any thoughts?
Yes. First of all, I would like to give Denise a big hug right now. And why I say that is because of this. She said one thing, that a woman is supposed to submit to a man. And of course, in the Bible, it says that. I'm a Christian. I understand that. But the point of it is submission. And I want you ladies to understand this. Submission is not, how do I want to say it? Submission is the highest form of trust a man can get. But a man has to do everything he can to, listen very carefully what I say, to die for that lady. Okay? In the Bible, it says a woman's supposed to submit to her man, and a man's supposed to submit to Christ. What did Christ do for the church? He died. So if you read Proverbs 31 of what a great woman is, it's a form of trust. Okay, it's not. And if any of you ladies out there are dating a man that are putting you down, putting this, that's wrong of them. That's wrong. Okay, it's a form of trust. So what I mean by this is if I have a good friend and we get in a fight and he goes, "Hey, let's go left," and we go left, that's how it is. You're partners. A woman is not beneath a man at all. You're partners. So that's why I have to blow it up because I can't see. That's why I loved when Denise said, submit to a man. It's a form of trust. You cannot submit to somebody that doesn't love you or care for you. And what we're doing here is trying to stop the violence. So if you submit to somebody that doesn't give a shit about you, you're not stopping the violence. You're not helping nothing, and they don't love you. So submission is, and a man should submit to his wife too, in her words, in her wisdom as well. Okay? If you read Proverbs 31, God's perfect woman, or his description, very strong lady. So a man and a woman walk hand in hand, not one walk before the other. They walk hand in hand together. That's my opinion.
Wow, and that's perfect. You, as a guest and the representative of men here, it starts and supports the mindset and what Denise and everyone here believes in. Now we have a new mindset to look forward to. So, bravo, kudos to you, Mr. Shannon. So our live forum, or our open forum rather, is actually done. But Miss Melisha would like to request for all of the speakers here to please put their thumbs up. We will have photo ops. So thumbs up, everyone.
It's actually an okay sign. Yeah.
All right. So
The
okay,
YANA,
everyone.
the YANA logo, it's a YANA.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much. That was fun.
Thank
So,
you.
Melisha, would you like to share something about this YANA sign that we just did?
So basically, YANA stands for You're Not Alone. It's a Southeast Asia mental health initiative that us youth actually started at last year, March 2019. And the core of it is because we know that everyone is at home and everyone is going through something. Everyone, maybe some people lose their job, and some, are staying at home and going through pandemic, they are bored and stuff. And of course, domestic violence also happened, because of the pandemic. It actually got worse. So because of this, we wanted to say it's okay to not be okay, and to seek help if you need to. That is the core word that we are trying to spread.
Wonderful. We truly support your cause. And thank you for staying until the end, Miss Melisha. So again officially ends our forum. Thank you to our speakers with diverse backgrounds, yet one goal, that is to support the advocacy to end violence against women. We learned today that it's not just about women empowerment, nor having a community or a support group, but a new mindset that is to equally respect both men and women. As an advocate of violence against women and children who has also personally experienced the mental, physical, and emotional difficulties, I firmly stand behind all those who have been through this. Yes, we are all here for a reason, to be stronger, braver, and to be one of the voices in support of this advocacy. If we have done it, we most certainly know that you can too. Together, let us continue to work towards a vow-free world. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much.
We would like to thank everyone who supported our 18-day campaign to end violence against women, most especially to those who joined this live forum. Indeed, your support definitely continues to empower all the women and children worldwide. Again, this event is brought to you by ASEAN Youth Journal, Social Business Platform Incorporated, Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park, Rotaract Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park, Rotaract One ASEAN, Western Mindanao State University Gender Association, International Youth Fellowship, SPMUDA International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Philippine Honorable Queens, Kilos Ko Youth, in cooperation with Amarela Philippines, Twilight, Our Empowerment, Move Zobel. Special thanks to UPLB Gender Center, Sigma Delta Phi Los Baños, and our official media partners Inquirer.net, Inquirer.net Pop, and COVID Diaries, a millennial collaboration. Together, let us continue to work towards a vow-free world.
Is like your new version of writing a love letter to someone. It's somewhat similar to listening to your favorite radio station, where you can ask your DJ for your favorite song request, express your heartfelt desire and memories as well. Most of all, Dear Door is a platform where you can learn lessons about life and your worth as a unique individual. Oh, definitely. We can mostly talk about anything under the sun. That's what Dear Door is here for. Well, Dear Door wants to bring back the art of letter writing, self-expression and learning, but this time through digital means. Dear Door is a family of creative individuals with the same purpose, interests, and goals when it comes to self-expression. Dear Door is an experience that is waiting for you to be a part of. Express yourself through Dear Door.
COVID Diaries, the Millennial Collaboration, is the first and only digital platform created by millennials in the Philippines. We are here to bring you creative news, short films, documentaries, and entertainment during this season. We shall be your voice in support of your advocacies and campaigns. Watch out for our ebook and merchandise soon. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now tell us, what's your story?
Got something you want to share to the world? We got you, fam! We are looking for awesome people like you who want to share content that deserve a spotlight on our site. Whether it's a list of everything you love about catos and doggos, pop culture related artworks, or even your own random photos, memes, and funny videos, we'd be happy to see it and share it to the world. Join our award-winning team and be part of our Ink Pop creator community.
Hey, it's me, Guyito. Want to become a writer, artist, or photographer when you grow up? Test your creative skills with us. We're looking for kids aged 7 to 12 years old with unpublished work like articles, short stories, poems, essays, artworks, videos, and others. Join our award-winning team and be a part of our Kinderpop contributors and get your awesome work published for the entire world to see. Send in your work to pop@inquirer.net or visit facebook.com/inkpop to know more. Now let's show them how kids get it done.
One in 5 children in the Philippines actually experience sexual violence from the age of 12 to 17 years old, and whoever you are, whatever abilities you have, you can do something.
Nasa likod ninyo ako at ang buong team namin sa OVP along with so many others committed to the pursuit of a fairer, more humane, truly equitable society. Maraming salamat, mabuhay kayong lahat.
Good things happen when a stand is taken. I know this because I grew up in a home where violence was prevalent. But what made life better was to remove fear and to take a stand.
As there is violence against women, there is no peace. So, thank you for speaking up. Thank you for choosing not to remain silent. I'm always proud of you, young people, and I'm always here rooting for all of you.